The story actually begins with the wife making absolutely sure nobody is watching before quietly slipping into another man's apartment. She is having a secret affair, and judging by how comfortable she is there, this definitely is not their first meeting. Meanwhile, her husband is spending his day in the most innocent way possible. He is sitting inside a bookstore, completely absorbed in romantic novels. The owner eventually notices he has been reading forever and jokingly asks whether he plans to buy something or if he is just there for free entertainment. The husband politely asks where one of the books belongs, but instead of putting it back on the shelf, he secretly walks away with it. He later finds a peaceful spot in a park and happily continues reading like he has not a single worry in the world. After taking his little daughter outside for a while, he heads home. On the elevator ride, he unexpectedly bumps into a woman he knew years ago. She tells him she has recently moved into the same apartment building, introduces him to her young son, and even proudly shows him her apartment before they go their separate ways. Back home, life continues as usual. He watches a soccer match while preparing a bottle of milk for his baby daughter. But when he looks inside, something immediately feels wrong. Tiny ants are crawling in the milk. Confused, he throws it away and opens another container instead, assuming it was just bad luck. While this caring father is worrying about baby formula, his wife is enjoying time with her lover. He cannot stop taking pictures of her. In fact, he has collected an entire photo album filled with memories of the two of them. She flips through it and finds an old love letter he once wrote, along with a ring he has kept all this time. Before dropping her off, he even hands her a spare key to his apartment, telling her she can come over whenever she wants, even if he is not home. That same night, her husband falls asleep on the living room couch while waiting for her to come home. When she finally walks in very late, he wakes up and simply asks when she got back. She casually brushes him off, saying they can talk later, acting as if nothing happened. The following morning, he gently asks why she came home so late. Without missing a beat, she claims she had extra work at the school. He believes her immediately because he has absolutely no reason to think otherwise. The sad reality is that this man has been desperately trying to find a job for quite some time. Every interview ends with another rejection. Things are so bad that even his shoes begin falling apart, forcing him to stop and get them repaired because buying a new pair is simply not an option. With nowhere else to go, he returns to the bookstore to spend more time reading. There he runs into his old neighbor again, and she drags him along to buy potatoes while they casually catch up on life. At almost the exact same time, his wife is shopping for expensive new clothes. She happily tries them on before heading home with her latest purchases. Later, the phone rings. The husband answers, but the caller says nothing before hanging up. He shrugs it off and goes back to collecting empty cans and bottles around the house so he can recycle them for a little extra money. He washes the laundry, cleans the apartment, cooks, takes care of the baby, and honestly does almost every household chore himself. That evening, the phone rings again. Once again, nobody speaks. The silent caller is actually the wife's lover. He keeps calling just to reach her, but every time the husband answers, he immediately hangs up. Instead of appreciating everything her husband does, she storms into the room and starts yelling because he is watching television while the baby is crying. He calmly tells her she could comfort their daughter this time, but she immediately reminds him that she is the one earning money while he stays home. She even criticizes him for not improving his resume enough to get hired. Then she delivers the line that hurts him the most. She says if he wants to continue living in that house, he needs to find a job because right now he contributes nothing. He quietly tells her she does not have to remind him every day that she is paying the bills, but she doubles down and tells him that he really does nothing except buy secondhand books and spend his afternoons reading in the park. Those words clearly stay with him. The next day, while cleaning the family car, he discovers a receipt for the expensive clothes she recently bought. Being careful with every penny, he writes the expense into his household budget without questioning it. His wife works as a teacher, and while she is meeting with parents at school, her lover suddenly shows up. To avoid raising suspicion, she introduces him as the school's computer engineer. Technically, that is his job during the day. At night, though, he is something very different. A secretary soon tells her that her husband is waiting outside. When he enters the office, the husband politely greets the engineer. It quickly becomes obvious the two men actually know each other from years ago, although they have not met in a long time. Completely unaware of what is happening behind his back, the husband warmly suggests they all have dinner together sometime. The lover quickly invents an excuse, claiming he already has other plans. On the drive home, the husband casually asks his wife why she always takes her shoes off in her office. She suddenly goes quiet. Before long, the car almost crashes because the brakes are badly worn out. He asks her to come with him to a repair shop so they can fix it. Instead, the moment he is distracted, she leaves and heads straight to her lover's apartment again. When she arrives, she spots another woman entering the building and instantly assumes the worst. Jealousy Jealousy takes over. She pounds on his apartment door, shouting for him to open it, only to discover the woman had actually gone into a completely different apartment. When he finally lets her inside, she angrily tries to start an argument, but he barely reacts. As they talk, he notices she is wearing the ring he gave her. Then he casually asks where the spare apartment key is. She has no idea that the key is accidentally mixed in with her husband's car keys. Back at home, the husband notices a key he has never seen before. Curious, he wonders where it came from, but says nothing. Instead, he spends time updating his resume, hoping another job application might finally change his luck. Meanwhile, his wife notices something inside her lover's apartment that immediately upsets her. A brand new toothbrush. She panics because she does not want anything in the apartment suggesting another person regularly visits. She even insists they should both use the same toothbrush holder, so it appears only one person lives there if anyone ever notices. It is honestly one of the strangest conversations imaginable, but it shows just how obsessed she has become with hiding every possible clue. The next day, while both she and her lover are away, the husband quietly visits the engineer's apartment. Ever since meeting him at the school, something has been bothering him. He takes out the mysterious key. It slides perfectly into the lock. The door opens. Inside, his entire world falls apart. The apartment is filled with photographs of his wife. There are pictures of them together everywhere. He even finds a photo of himself holding his own daughter, carefully kept among the collection. In one heartbreaking moment, every lie suddenly makes sense. The betrayal crushes him so deeply that he loses all appetite. That evening, he simply asks his wife one painful question. "Are you happy living this life with me?" She refuses to answer and instead awkwardly changes the subject by complimenting the soup she made. Realizing there is no honest conversation coming, he quietly walks over to his little daughter. Looking at the only innocent person in the house, he cannot hold back his tears. Even the bookstore owner notices something has changed. Instead of browsing romantic novels like always, the husband is now standing in the mystery section. His wife tries acting normal again. She tells him she already prepared the baby's milk and all he has to do is warm it up, but he barely responds. Later, she visits her lover again and notices the new toothbrush is still there. Even worse, he has bought gifts for her daughter with the little girl's name written on them. That completely crosses the line for her. Furious, she argues with him before storming out. While driving away, she accidentally bumps another car because she is too distracted to focus. Back home, guilt finally starts catching up with her. As she cleans the house, she quietly tells herself she has to end the affair before everything falls apart. Unfortunately for her, she has already waited too long. She notices one of the photographs from the lover's album hanging where it should never be, and then discovers more pictures hidden inside her own bag. That night she cooks dinner, prepares another bottle for the baby, and even tries joking around with her husband to lighten the mood. He barely reacts. She apologizes for how cold she has been lately. Instead of arguing, he simply tells her that all he wants is for her to be a good mother to their daughter. He even starts talking about renting some land so he can finally start a small business and provide for the family. Then the phone rings. She immediately freezes because she knows exactly who it is. Her husband answers. Nobody speaks. A few moments later, he asks for the car keys because he wants to finally get the brakes repaired. She nervously hands them over before leaving the apartment herself. The lover calls again, this time demanding they meet. She tells him she cannot leave her daughter alone, but he refuses to accept that excuse. He insists they have to talk face to face. When she still hesitates, he shocks her by saying he is already standing outside her apartment building. She completely panics. Terrified someone might see him, she quickly tells him to wait at a nearby cafe and promises she will be there in 30 minutes. Only after making sure he has actually left does she return inside. She quietly takes out a package of sleeping tablets, breaks off a very small piece, mixes it into her daughter's bottle, and feeds the baby so the little girl will fall asleep while she sneaks out. As her daughter finally drifts off, the mother leaves to meet her lover. At the cafe, he pours his heart out. He tells her he loves her and cannot imagine ending their relationship. He reminds her of the day she stopped wearing her wedding ring and chose to wear his instead. He even brings up the day her daughter was born, recalling how happy they both were when she first saw the baby. At that exact moment, back at home, the husband discovers something horrifying. As he prepares another bottle, he once again sees ants inside the milk. His heart immediately sinks. He rushes to check on his daughter and realizes she is burning with a high fever. Without wasting another second, he grabs her and races to the hospital. The doctor asks whether the baby could have consumed anything unusual. The only thing the terrified father can remember is finding ants in the milk earlier. While the doctors begin treating the little girl, the mother is still sitting at a cafe with the man she chose over her family. The father, meanwhile, spends the entire night beside his daughter's hospital bed, refusing to leave her side even for a moment. The next morning, the exhausted father is still sitting beside his daughter's hospital bed when the doctor gently wakes him up. The little girl is finally stable, and the medical team tells him he can take her home while they arrange for a pediatric specialist to continue checking on her. He carries his daughter back to the apartment, feeling guilty that she had to go through such a terrifying night. Then fate hands him one final piece of the truth. As he arrives outside his building, he watches his wife being dropped off by another man, her lover. The two of them say goodbye as if nothing is wrong. The husband quickly hides so neither of them notices he is there. He waits until the man disappears into the elevator and leaves the building before stepping out. At that moment, something inside him changes. You can almost see the decision forming in his mind. The next morning, he carefully starts putting together an elaborate plan. First, he calls the secretary at his wife's school and asks her to let his wife know he will be late because he has to attend a funeral. Then he asks his friendly neighbor to drive him to the train station. He even makes sure she watches him walk toward the platform, making it look like he is boarding the train. The second she drives away, he quietly leaves the station through another exit. The funeral never existed. Instead, he heads straight to the lover's apartment. Wearing gloves to avoid leaving fingerprints, he carefully searches every room. He plucks a single strand of hair from the apartment, then continues looking until he discovers a folding knife. Without disturbing anything else, he quietly leaves with both items. Hours later, his wife returns home. The moment she walks inside, she freezes. A photograph of herself is hanging in a place where she knows she never left it. Terrified, she immediately calls her lover and demands to know if he put it there. He sounds completely confused and insists he has no idea what she is talking about. At that exact moment, the lights suddenly go out. Before she can react, someone ends the phone call from another line. Her husband has been waiting inside the apartment. He attacks without warning. At the same time, he calls the lover's phone again, forcing him to hear her desperate cries through the speaker. It is his way of making sure the other man rushes over exactly as planned. Before everything is over, the husband makes sure she sees his face. He wants her to know exactly who is standing in front of her. Then he uses the knife he stole from the lover's apartment to kill her. His plan is disturbingly calculated. He leaves the strand of hair he collected at the scene to point investigators toward the lover. He wipes a little of the victim's blood onto a cloth, locks the apartment, carefully removes every fingerprint he might have left behind, and slips away without attracting attention. Just as he expected, the lover arrives in a panic after hearing the phone call. He rushes into the apartment, unknowingly walking straight into the trap. Meanwhile, the husband calmly returns home. He smears the blood he collected onto the bathroom mirror inside the lover's apartment, creating even more evidence against him. He also tears up the return portion of his train ticket, so it appears he really did travel out of town and only came back later. Finally, he calls his neighbor and asks if she can stop by his apartment to bring some diapers and baby formula because his wife is not answering her phone. The neighbor enters the apartment. Seconds later, she discovers the body. Shocked, she immediately calls the police. The husband soon arrives, pretending he has no idea what has happened. Officers stop him from entering while crime scene investigators begin examining the apartment. The forensic team notices that the victim's finger has been injured. It appears someone forcibly removed the ring she was wearing, leaving damage to her finger in the process. Then investigators discover the single strand of hair lying at the crime scene. It is collected as crucial evidence. During questioning, detectives ask the husband where he was at the time of the murder. Everything seems to support his story. They even have the phone call where he asked the neighbor to bring diapers and baby supplies because his wife was not answering. Every detail fits perfectly. Meanwhile, the lover finds himself buried under a mountain of evidence. The knife came from his apartment. His hair was found at the crime scene. He rushed to the apartment immediately after the attack. From the investigator's perspective, everything points directly at him. As the investigation continues, the husband quietly returns to his own apartment with his daughter. Life slowly begins settling into a new routine. He cleans the apartment from top to bottom, empties the refrigerator, prepares meals, feeds his little girl, and does everything he can to care for her alone. One day, he takes a particular book into the bathroom. Hidden inside is a small matchbox. He opens it. Inside is the wedding ring he violently removed from his wife's finger before staging the crime scene. For the first time since carrying out his revenge, his emotions finally catch up with him. He looks through the old photographs of his wife once more. Instead of anger, he feels sadness. Tears begin to fall as he realizes that despite everything she did, she was still the woman he once loved. The revenge that seemed so satisfying in his mind has left him completely empty. After sitting with those memories for a while, he decides it is finally time to move forward. He throws the ring away. Then he burns every photograph of the two of them together, erasing the last reminders of the life they once shared. Now, there is only one person left who truly matters to him, his daughter. And with that that bittersweet ending, the movie comes to a close.